Just like the imaginary story I told you about the social media and the testing machine, what is true is that we have big challenges when it comes to animal feeds in this country. And I think we can only find solutions if we admit, like we are admitting today, that we have serious challenges when it comes to animal feeds in this country. Whether it's for your cows, for your dogs, for your chicken, for your pigs, for your goats, there are issues. And I think the first step to solving a problem is accepting that there are actually issues. So we have issues with animal feeds. And it's time that the key players in this industry took action to make sure that these challenges are sorted out. And these are some of the challenges that we basically have. In the course of our inspection, we have noted several unethical practices by raw material suppliers and by manufacturers. And as a matter of fact, a couple of months ago, KEBS, we called all the manufacturers of animal feeds into a room. And we had a fairly straightforward talk with them. And we all agreed that this is an area that must be fixed. The inputs that they use have issues. The products that they put out there in the market have issues. And that's the reason why you will find the big farmers in this country produce their own animal feeds. Sometimes it's not about reducing costs. Sometimes it's about ensuring that they produce feeds which help them to meet their objectives. Now, the problem when they produce their own feeds is that nobody has tested the quality of these feeds. Some of them are doing this as a matter of practice, and that will eventually, if consumed continuously, consistently, may eventually have an impact on the health of the Kenyan people. There are other commercial issues that I don't want to deal with, issues of pricing and the rest, because my mandate is about quality. But these are some of the issues that we must address, and address very boldly. Because if these issues are not addressed, then our statistics in terms of milk production, in terms of the quality of meat from this country, will continue to be at the bottom when compared with other countries. Clearly, if Israel, a desert, can produce 27 liters a day, and I know that there are farmers in this country who produce 27 liters a day on average. These are averages, which means there are those who go to 40, there are those who go below 40. It means that properly managed, our dairy industry can be a key source of economic activity in this country. We can actually build competitive edge by making sure that what we feed our animals is of a better quality, is of a good quality. I haven't quite seen the results of this study, but I know that this study is very important. This study is going to complement what we've been saying, what we will do into the future as KEBS. So one of the reasons why I agreed to come and talk this morning is because this study is important for this country, and therefore a partnership with Kenya Market Trust in some of these studies then become important. Not just to KEBS, because as KEBS we are just a custodian of Kenyan standards for the Kenyan people, but to the Kenyan people. Some of the findings might be good, some of the findings might not be so good, and I think we need to put more focus, not just on the good or not just on the not so good, but on all of them. On the good, we continue with those practices. On those practices that are not good, we basically find solutions to make sure that we turn this around to make our country better.
We focus on market systems and value chains, as these are the main mechanisms through which jobs and wealth are created and growth occurs. KMT focuses on transforming markets so that they become more inclusive, competitive, and sustainable. This builds into our long-term goal of delivering large-scale sustainable change that benefits our key stakeholders in selected markets. These stakeholders include, but are not limited to, producers, consumers, private sector players and other market actors, government of Kenya at both county and national levels. The way KMT seeks to bring about market transformation is by thought leadership in understanding the functioning and characteristics of the markets we work in as a basis for influence and action. Designing and implementing cost-effective interventions that maximize positive change in those markets, and facilitating market actors to bring about the changes rather than through direct delivery ourselves. We also influence key decision makers to think differently about how markets work and their importance to inclusive growth in Kenya. The dairy and beef livestock sectors are two of the markets we work in. These sectors currently contribute approximately 40% to Kenya's agricultural GDP, which overall constitutes approximately 30% of the national GDP. The two sectors are, however, producing far below their potential and present huge opportunities for increasing Kenya's overall economic production. To give you a rough idea of the upside potential, the Kenyan dairy farmer, for example, averages a daily production of between 5 to 8 liters per cow per day. This compares with approximately 27 liters per day in Israel and 20 liters per day in the United Kingdom. There is an upside potential to more than double our daily milk production per cow with the immense benefits this would provide. Kenya's low productivity in the dairy sector, for example, is due to several challenges faced by our dairy farmers. These include, amongst others, poor herd management, feeding on poor quality forages, crop residues, and natural pastures that are of low nutritive value and which fail to meet nutrient demands for high-yielding cows. Use of commercial concentrates is essential to enhance the cow's productivity for a profitable dairy enterprise or to fatten and finish beef cows before slaughter. In spite of their value in livestock nutrition, concentrates are not optimally used in Kenya because of challenges associated with quality and affordability. As one of the steps in transforming these two market sectors, KMT sought to better understand the Kenya animal feeds market. We undertook the study that is being disseminated today to map feed manufacturers and ingredient suppliers of feed materials in Kenya with the objective of establishing factors that affect the cost and quality of animal feed and which leads to limited use at farm level. Many of the local ingredient suppliers do not have physical addresses, and the material is prone to adulteration during the inbound logistics. Two key cost drivers in feed production include the high cost of transporting imported raw materials and finished products due to Kenya's centralized processing model and significant underutilization of installed processing capacity. The feed processors have limited technical capacity in feed processing and are subjected to high costs of testing services, inefficiencies in service provision, and inaccessibility of laboratories. This poses challenges to feed quality improvement. A majority, 70% of raw material suppliers do not certify ingredients, while 43% of the manufacturers do not certify their products. In addition to this, only 45% of ingredient suppliers are registered with the Kenya Bureau of Standards, KEBS. KEBS has high technical competence both in terms of equipment and its staff, but it faces resource limitations in carrying out surveillance and enforcement of the set standards because of the large areas that need to be covered and a number of millers and processors. In our opinion, addressing these key constraints will enhance the productivity of milk and livestock production, which will then translate into improved farmer income. KMT views this forum as a step in this process. We have convened this meeting to begin dissemination of the findings from our study and elicit dialogue among key stakeholders on how to effectively address pertinent issues and recommendations that came out of the study findings.